My name is Wolfram Horstmann. I'm director of the State and University Library in Göttingen, in Germany, and also a member of the LIBER Executive Board, which is the European Association of Research Libraries. And I was just giving a presentation at the EIRG workshop here in Riga, Latvia, the E-Infrastructure Reflection Group. And I was asked to talk about the long tail of data, and I was very pleased to give this presentation because there are several aspects that I usually want to mention about the long tail. So the first one is that actually the long tail is not what it seems. It is sometimes thought that the long tail contains the smaller and super specific parts of research, but looking at, for example, the distribution of funding, you will see that there are many more projects that receive smaller amount of budgets and very few projects that receive a large amount of funding. And there are many more projects that produce smaller kinds of data than actually produce big data. So the majority of research is about the long tail of data. This is what I presented here, and as mentioned, I was very happy to make this clear. So the second important aspect about the long tail of research and correspondingly the long tail of research data is that once you have accepted the fact that we're talking about the 10,000s of institutions worldwide, hundreds and thousands or millions of projects, and definitely millions of researchers, rather than a few that produce a large amount of data, then the challenge is diversity. The diversity of the people, the diversity of the data types, the diversity of regions and countries and institutions, and how to manage that this diversity does not become an obstacle to what we all want, namely an open and excellent framework for performing research. And so what I suggested is rather than focusing on the big infrastructures and focusing on the big projects and big data is actually to focus on the problem of how can we overcome the diversity, how can we build aggregated environments, aggregated information resources, and environments in which researchers can collaborate and build our vision of a globally connected and open science framework. I think standards and big infrastructures are important, and it is not a contradiction that standards and big infrastructures exist. The point I'm trying to make is that I think standards and big infrastructures much more need to take into account the individual, the project, and the institutional perspective, because it is often driven by big projects, by big data centers, and the institutional, the individual university perspective is sometimes neglected. So with respect to the next phase of the e-infrastructure development in Europe, what I would like to see is a kind of alignment and closer collaboration and connection between the big infrastructure development and the actual institutional and individual research perspective. Because I think that while we do excellent research in the area of the big infrastructures, the big data initiatives, the mainstream part of excellent research is actually in the long tail of research.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.